In the early 20th century, the war to end all wars didn't end war at all. It stoked the fires of change. A traumatized world was ripe for change. The world was ready for modernism. Modernists wanted to forget history, or at least reinterpret it. More than just a style, modernism applied to virtually all forms of creative expression. Innovative artists like Picasso, Escher, Dali, they all started looking at their world differently. Other artists tried painting light itself. These were the Impressionists. Surrealists went a bit further. We had entered the age of the isms. Cubism, symbolism, futurism, constructivism. All these new modern ways of looking at the world blew people away. When it came to architecture, modernists were intrigued by emerging technology. Concrete, glass and steel featured heavily in their buildings. Modernists believed that they could design a better society. Ornamental indulgence was considered a frivolous waste of effort. They thought function should always dictate form, and that mankind's intelligence, creativity and capability for radical thinking should be celebrated. Take the Russian inventor Georgy Krutikov. He suggested an idea for a city held aloft by electrical currents. This at a time when there was barely enough wattage to keep the lights on. Not everything they designed was a resounding success. But you could argue modernism was the single most influential movement of the 20th century. From house music to housewares, tables and chairs to graphic design, all have been created by the aesthetics and ideas of modernism.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? It's Friday morning. So glad to see Friday get here. I'm sure you are, too. But we got a lot of work to do before we get into the weekend. It's the Bill Press Show this Friday morning, April 4. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us as we take a look at all the big news here in our nation's capital, around the country, around the globe, with our team here this morning, and look forward to hearing from you. You know how to do it. You can give us a call the old-fashioned way at 866-55-PRESS. You can send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Well, Peter, a lot of consternation down at the White House over the selfie.
Yeah. The selfie heard round the world.
What happened?
Well, so when the Red Sox came to the White House to celebrate their World Series win, David Ortiz, Big Papi, showed up and took the selfie with the president. Turns out it was all a publicity stunt put on by Samsung. And so the White House is now upset because the president's likeness should not be used in any kind of commercial promotion. And this was a commercial promotion.
It seemed to me that I saw the president say, "Oh, Papi wants to take a selfie. Let's do it." Right?
Yeah, he certainly, no one twisted his arm to get in on that selfie.
Twisted his arm. The other big news, David Letterman says, "I'm throwing it in next year in 2015. That is huge. I mean, Letterman is just a giant. And he's the real survivor in the late night era, right? So what's going to happen?
It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, Letterman has been around for so long. I mean, generations of people grew up watching Letterman. So you have to wonder if they're going to go with someone completely new and different. You have to wonder if they're going to move up Craig Ferguson, the guy that's on after Letterman now. It's wide open right now.
So we got all of that to talk about, and pardon us for bragging, but the Nats are, yes, undefeated so far this season.
Go
and
Nats.
Today is home game, opening game here in Washington, D.C. Go Nats. All of that coming up on the Bill Press Show. Stay with us.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat?
I'm ready. Good morning, everybody. What do you say? You know, it's Friday. It's Friday, April 4. Oh, man, we love our Fridays around the Bill Press Show. And I know you do, and good to have you with us this Friday morning. This has been a tough week, man. For me, at least. Tough coming back from Hawaii, and then tough dealing with this damn sore throat. But at any rate, all right.
Tough coming back from Hawaii, huh?
Woe is
with
you.
The sore
this
throat.
Is me playing a sad song on the world's tiniest violin. Sorry, boss. I mean, I want to say I feel for you, but...
there it is. Now I can't even speak.
Sorry.
At any rate. But it's good to be with you today, and we've got lots to talk about to wrap up the week here this morning. On a Friday morning, taking a look at what's happening here around our nation's capital, around the country, around the globe. The House and the Senate are still in session today. I mean, boy, they must be somebody guilt tripped them. They stayed in town an extra day this week. Not that they'll get anything done. As Congressman Mark Pocan told us yesterday, that the other day, all they did in the entire day, they renamed 2 post offices. That's the thing. They've named all the post offices so far that the only way they can keep busy is they're starting to recycle. They're going back around and renaming all the post offices that they named last year.
Right.
So
Gotta stay busy.
So, if you get a post office named after you, it's not such a big deal because somebody else is going to be named after somebody else a year later. You got to recognize that. At any rate, again, great to see you today and to welcome our team here this morning, Peter Ogburn and Lisa Murphy.
Happy Friday.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Alicia Cruz right there, already on the phones here and waiting for your calls at 866-55-PRESS. And then Cyprian Bolding, who has us all looking good. Cyprian, big day for Cyprian because he'll be there filming the Nats home opener. Here.
Yeah, big day.
DC, which is a big day in Washington.
I'm sorry. I think what you meant to say is the undefeated Washington Nationals.
That's what I meant
to say. No baseball team has ever done it. This is our year. We're going undefeated the whole season.
The world champion.
You got it.
Washington Nationals. Here we are. We're already
there. It is.
Right? Yeah.
There it is.
Pardon our bragging this morning, but you got to be for the home team.
Damn
Everybody
right.
understands that,
Damn
right?
right.
Yeah, I know that. Right. How about it? Yeah, the big news of David Letterman, unbelievable. He said last night, announced he had called Les Moonves before the show and said, we've talked about this. I finally decided I'm going to throw in the towel next year, sometime in 2015. And then he and Paul Schrader can just go off into happy land forever and ever.
I just want to reiterate my thanks for the support from the network, all of the people who have worked here, all of the people in the theater, all the people on the staff, everybody at home. Thank you very much. And what this means now is that Paul and I can be married.
Well, they have had a long courtship, for sure.
They sure have.
Yeah. How long has Letterman been on the air?
31 years, all told.
Wow.
Yeah.
His own show?
Yeah, because he used to have the late night show, the late night show.
Right.
And then they moved him up to take over the late show. And yeah. It's funny. You grow up, right? Like, you're either a Letterman guy or a Leno guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you have to sort of pledge your allegiance. And Leno certainly, I think, for the most of the time that they were going up against each other, Leno won the ratings game. I think Letterman wielded a lot of influence over the comedy world.
Yeah. You can with late night, there's certain eras. There's a Johnny Carson era, right? People grew up in that. That's what they think of as late night. And then Leno and Letterman, right? Yeah. And now it's Fallon.
It's Fallon,
Kimmel, and whoever's going to take Letterman's place.
It's going to be interesting to see who takes Letterman's spot. I mean, the thing about Letterman that I always appreciate about Letterman, because it's been a while since I've watched a David Letterman show, to be perfectly honest, just because of the hours that we keep. But there was a time that I would religiously watch it, because Letterman, even after he had been on for so long, he still does weird and out there and kind of dangerous stuff. He never really laid back and sat back and collected the paycheck. So.
No, and some of his stuff it will be legend forever.
Absolutely.
Like the top 10 list.
Yep.
The stupid pet tricks, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. What a giant in late night. Coming up, Susan Paige will be joining us here from USA Today a little bit later in the hour. We will have reporters in from Politico and Think Progress, and then from Public Campaign to talk about that disastrous SCOTUS decision the other day. And the White House is all in a big Twitter over the selfie. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Yes, indeed. Just a couple of other stories making news. Earth is not the only orb in space with oceans. That's right.
Wait a minute. Wait. What?
One of Saturn's moons discovered that we discovered that they have water on Enceladus, one of Saturn's moons, as I mentioned. There is water on the moon. In 2005, an American spacecraft saw plumes of water shooting into space from cracks in the icy surface, and those suggest that there is an ocean on Saturn's moon. Now, it's probably covered in ice, so it's tough to figure out how big or how deep or anything like that, but there is water there.
Bill Clinton was right.
He was right.
Exactly.
He was right
That's what
yesterday.
I was thinking.
When he was talking about the aliens, you wouldn't be surprised. There
That's
they
true.
are. If there's an ocean, there's life.
Yes, that's always been the claim.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
You remember the very famous tennis match, Bobby Riggs versus Billie Jean King, the battle of the sexes. Well, they announced yesterday they're making a movie about that, and starring in the role of Bobby Riggs is Will Ferrell. He is going to be playing Bobby Riggs.
Oh, my God.
So it's going to be more of a comedy.
That should be funny.
Be great, because that is such a classic story where you remember Billie Jean King and the very chauvinistic Bobby Riggs took each other on, and she kicked his ass.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, that'd be great. Good.
And last night, the fifth longest...
Who's going to play her?
Huh? They haven't announced that yet.
Oh.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Last night, the fifth longest winning streak in NBA history was broken as the San Antonio Spurs lost to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Thunder seem to have the Spurs number this season. They beat them 5 straight games. Kevin Durant continued his streak of games with at least 25 points. He's gone 39 straight games scoring at least 25 points. That's one shy of Michael Jordan's record. You might have heard of Michael Jordan.
Hello.
So anyway, the Spurs lost last night. 106-94 is the final score.
All right. Thank you, Peter. Yes, indeed. The big flap yesterday in Washington, D.C., and still today, is over the famous Selfie. And so the big question is now, on the part of Samsung, was this absolutely a PR genius or an affront to the presidency of the United States? Boy, the stakes are pretty high here. What do you think? You know what we're talking about? Give us a call at 866-55-PRESS or send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show. So all this happened, Peter, you know the story best, last Tuesday on the South Lawn of the White House when the president welcomed the world champion World Series to the White House, as he does all the championship teams.
From all the different sports.
And at one moment,
Big Papi, David Ortiz, went up, and he wanted to get a selfie with the president. So he got up, he put his arm around, they put their arms around each other, and David Ortiz holds out his camera phone.
Well, first, the president sees what's going on, and he doesn't say, "What are you doing? You can't do that." No, he's having fun with it.
Oh, he wants to do a selfie.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's the Big Papi selfie. Come on.
Come on. Big Papi selfie. Come on. And the president did it, and it went viral, right? It went out there, just like Ellen DeGeneres did at the Oscars. Yep. And that went out. That was the most tweeted.
Biggest tweet of all time.
Of all time, right.
Yeah.
And then we found out that the one at the Oscars had been set up ahead of time with Ellen by Samsung as a PR stunt. And then we found out that the White House.
Same thing.
Same thing.
They put Papi up to it.
Yeah. Samsung admits that, right?
They admitted it. They signed David Ortiz up to be one of their spokesmen. They gave him the Samsung phone, and they said, if you could get a selfie with the president and tweet that out, we would like you to do that.
Yeah. Samsung confirms it had a deal with Boston Red Sox star David Ortiz to take photos at the White House, to tweet them, and to promote the company's Galaxy mobile phone. There's only one problem with that, and that is, now again, the president, he was having fun. He had a good time with it. He thought it was funny. But there is a rule, has been forever, not just this White House, but the White House presidents, that you cannot use the president's image to promote any commercial product, which I understand.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to. I mean, did somebody didn't somebody early on try to do something with Obama and jeans?
It was
Remember?
a jacket. It was a jacket, and I don't remember which company. It was like a raincoat, and it was a shot of
something
the president.
on Times Square.
Yes,
even they had
I do
a
remember
shot,
that.
and the White House made them take it down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So when word got out that this selfie was not a spontaneous thing, that Samsung had actually put David Ortiz up to, which, by the way, Ortiz denies. Right?
Which I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean,
Samsung's already said, yeah, we had to do it. Why
the company says they had signed him up as a spokesperson, right?
Yeah.
So anyhow, when the White House found out that this was all a setup, they were none too happy. At our briefing yesterday, Jay Carney was just a downright scold.
As a rule, the White House objects to attempts to use the president's likeness for commercial purposes, and we certainly object in this case.
We object in this case. So what do you think should happen? What do you think about this? Is it a big deal or not? 866-55-PRESS, 866-55-77-377. I got to tell you, first of all, I don't think Samsung's not going to put this in. They're not going to use it in their advertising. You know, you're not going to see TV spots with this. You're not going to see full-page newspaper ads with this. They have accomplished their purpose,
Yes.
I think.
I mean,
everybody's talking about it.
They're not going to use it in their advertising, but they already have used it in their non-traditional, unconventional advertising.
The buzz.
Yeah, that's the new thing.
The buzz is worth millions and millions and millions of dollars, and they didn't pay anything for it. Well, whatever they paid Ortiz as a spokesperson as part of his
But
deal,
you don't have to
right?
buy ad time.
Don't have to buy ad time,
Yeah.
exactly. I think it's my take on White House is just better relax about this, because I think this was a brilliant promotional stunt on the part of Samsung. And Peter, you made this point yesterday. Whatever they're paying the head of their PR department, they are not paying him or her enough.
Yeah, they're really not. They're really not.
You know,
responsible for the biggest tweet of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's enough to make me think, I love me my iPhone, right? But it's enough to make me think about trading my iPhone in for one of those Samsung. And by the way, I see more and more people with the Samsungs, and it's bigger, and the photos look a lot better.
The game has changed. The game has definitely
really
changed. The
has.
iPhone is not the only smartphone in the game.
Yeah. So should we be really, really, really upset at Samsung, or patting them on the back?
Hang on, I'm going to take a selfie real quick.
Are they?
Take a selfie with Bill Press. There we go.
It's a big Bill Press selfie.
Tweet it out.
There you go. I just took it.
It's the Big Peter selfie.
Thank you very much.
866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
I have run these canyons for 6 million years. I have traveled from the Rocky Mountains to the deserts, through scorching heat and freezing cold, from the land of the dinosaurs to fields of food.
I lend my hand to 7 states, 2 countries, 9 national parks,
And 36 million people across an arid West.
I am not the strongest or the largest, but I am the hardest working.
people love me.
My playfulness.
My beauty.
My power.
My life. But I don't think I can offer any more.
I am tired.
I am tired.
Tapped.
And tied. Of the hundreds of major rivers in the world, I am one of the few who no longer kisses the sea.
Battles to harness my soul have been won and lost. Use me wisely, and I will sustain you.
Use me like you have, and I will break. My name is Red. The Grand River Red. The American Nile.
The Canyon Maker. I am the Colorado River.
And I am the most endangered river in America.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
24 minutes after the hour, so Peter took a selfie of us, right?
Yes.
And I'm not upset about it.
I'm not going to, by the way, I'm not going to make any money off of this. The Apple people aren't paying me to take pictures during the show.
You sure?
I'm
Okay,
positive.
I should have
Not yet.
Put that disclaimer out. Not yet. That's an excellent point. Not yet.
I should have asked you that first, yes. So should the White House be upset about the David Ortiz, the Big Papi selfie Tuesday afternoon on the South Lawn of the White House? President had a good time with it, actually, and I think they ought to just leave it at that. And, of course, if Samsung were to use that in any paid advertising, they lose their shirt, right? They think they're smarter than that. They just that was just a good PR stunt.
Yeah, I agree. We are taking comments on this, by the way, on Twitter, at BP Show. At BP Show, just got one in from Ken Halpern. He says, the selfie is no big deal. The White House should stop sweating the small stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I thought Jay Carney was a little bit too serious about this yesterday. Should have just had fun with it. We're also taking your calls at 866-55-PRESS. Steve is calling from Sharon, Pennsylvania. Hello, Steve.
Hello. Yeah, I was going to say we already have the best Congress money can buy. Why not trick the president into being a sponsor, too?
Maybe it's one way to balance the budget.
There you go. Sure, look, we're always looking for new revenue streams here, I mean, let's think outside the box. Maybe we're looking at this all wrong.
But I think in this case, to me, the better approach is to say, you know what, Samsung really pulled off a pretty smart deal here.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
No,
and just give them credit for saying they got this guy. They know he's going to be at the White House. I think it was just the day before they talked to him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And said, hey, while you're there, take your Samsung, right? With the Galaxy.
The Galaxy.
And if you have a chance, get a shot with the president. Oh, man, that would be cool. Big Papi, he's no shrinking violet, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
It's a whole new world out there for advertising, right? So, I mean, the fact that they're thinking outside the box, good for them, frankly.
Well, it also seems to me that this is not the president's first encounter with a selfie, let's remember.
Right.
There was the Nelson Mandela memorial service.
He'd rather not talk about that one.
Where had the selfie taken with whoever, the prime minister or president?
Danish prime minister, I think.
Danish prime minister, right, with a person there. And they got a little... they got a little hot water.
Michelle doesn't like to talk about
Michelle was not...
Michelle would rather not go there.
No. Michelle was not too happy. But the other thing is, I've seen video of the president when he's working a rope line. Like, I'll bet you, at the University of Michigan the other day, he's working a rope line. Everybody's got their cell phones out. Everybody's taking pictures. I do that as a reporter when I'm around the president. In the East Room, we have events and everything, and he's working the rope line. I'm taking pictures of him, shaking hands with different people. So those people in the crowd are using their cell phones, and a lot of them will go up to him and do a selfie. I mean, this happens now. This has become part of our culture.
It really has.
Just,
like it or not, by the way, because I know a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
Yeah. So my advice to the White House is on this one, just roll with it, have a good time, laugh about it. If Samsung ever does any paid advertising, which they're not dumb enough to do, then sink your lawyers on it.
Right.
But short of that, lighten up. After all, it's Friday.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
California, or the Golden State, has been in the midst of a 3-year drought, and this year, some scientists predict could be the driest in 500 years. Governor Jerry Brown declared a state of emergency in January and in February of this year. The world's 10th largest economy, California is also the United States' top agricultural producer. Half of all our fruits and vegetables come from California. The Golden State is not the only place on the planet struggling for this vital resource. In December 2013, the World Resources Institute found that 37 countries face severe water shortages. Free Speech TV would love to know what you think about this fight for water, especially if you're from the Golden State. Please call our comment line at 1-888-378-8855 or email us at comments@freespeech.org to let us know your thoughts.
Yes, the entertainment world, the television world, shaken up last night with the announcement, stunning announcement, unexpected announcement by David Letterman. You knew he wouldn't hang around forever. But the announcement yesterday that he is going to hang it up in 2015, taping his show yesterday afternoon at the Ed Sullivan Theater right there on Broadway in New York. I see it every time I go to New York. He told them he had placed a call yesterday afternoon to the president of CBS, Les Moonves.
I phoned him just before the program and I said, Leslie, it's been great. You've been great. The network has been great, but I'm retiring.
This is really?
Yep.
This is true. This is, you actually did this?
Yes, I did.
Wow. Do I have a minute to call my accountant? Because
call your accountant real fast. Yeah. Paul's a little worried about that. But Paul and David have had a long, very close working relationship. And David Letterman says the best part is that they'll continue to go down life's highway together.
I just want to reiterate my thanks for the support from the network, all of the people who have worked here, all of the people in the theater, all the people on the staff, everybody at home. Thank you very much. And what this means now is that Paul and I can be married.
Well, especially in New York State.
Sure, yeah, why not?
There they go.
Why the hell not?
Indeed. When is it all going to happen? Well, they're not quite sure when the other shoe will drop, but certainly sometime next year.
We don't have the timing of this precisely down. It will be, I think, at least a year or so, but sometime in the not too distant future, 2015, for the love of God. Yeah, in fact, Paul and I will be wrapping things up and taking a hike.
So, he's 67 years old. He's relatively young. What's he going to do,
Well, this is the
Of course,
weird...
he has his production company.
He does. But, the weird thing about Letterman is he's such books have been written about this and articles have been written about this. He's such a miserable guy. right? I mean, he's not a happy guy. He's not one of these happy-go-lucky guys that knows that he's had a lot of success and is happy with it. He's just a grumpy, kind of grouchy, curmudgeonly type of guy.
But you think he is in person?
Yes.
Really?
He admits that. Everybody that's worked with him admits that. And it's not necessarily that makes him, a jerk.
Yeah.
He's just one of these restless guys that just doesn't know how to be happy, right? And that, which is weird considering that he's a funny man.
Right.
But a lot of his funny stuff comes from weird, dark places. He tries out a lot of bizarre, different kinds of humor. It comes from a lot of self-deprecation. And, a lot of these guys, when they get to this level of success, tend to just sort of lean back and say, okay, we've got this machine going now. We can ride this out. But Letterman, the thing that always attracted me to watching Letterman was he would always do something weird. And like the best example of that, I think, is you might remember in I think it was 2007 or 2008, Warren Zevon, the musician, found out that he had lung cancer, inoperable lung cancer, and he had months to live. And he's one of Letterman's favorite artists, so Letterman devoted an entire show. He had him on. He interviewed him about his view of life and dying. He had him perform some songs. He had no other guests. And just like the idea of a late night host doing an entire show on the subject
lung
of
cancer,
a guy dying, and still made it funny and still made it sweet and touching, but still had its moments, is like the classic Letterman show, I think.
Yeah. So what do you think of Letterman? Is he the king of late night? I think so. I mean, and that the feud between Letterman and Jay Leno too, how real it was. Your thoughts on David Letterman? This is a tremendous kind of toss up, right? Or total change to late night television. The fact that Letterman is stepping down soon after Jay Leno, at least announcing soon after Jay Leno stepped down. 866-55-PRESS, the toll-free number. The other thing about Letterman is as serious as he is, some of the silly stuff that he did will live on. You know? Just like some of Johnny Carson's skits, people still talk about, right? Letterman's, the top 10 list has become part of our life, right? Everybody's got a top 10 list.
And everybody knows the top 10 list, and everybody that works in broadcasting is looking for their top 10 list.
Exactly.
Right?
Or the stupid pet tricks.
You're always looking for that thing, and he just owned it. It was his.
Right. No, when I was California Democratic State Chair of California at one time, I introduced Vice President Al Gore.
Mm-hmm.
I introduced Clinton and Gore at several different occasions, but at our one convention in Los Angeles, I introduced Vice President Al Gore with the top 10 reasons why we were happy to have Al Gore. As Americans, we were happy to have Al Gore as Vice President.
Yeah.
I remember putting that list together. One, he can spell. Unlike Dan Quayle. And I think another reason was Tipper Gore. So just putting those together. But it's just like everybody gets it. Yeah. Everybody knows what it is, right? Thanks to Letterman.
Yeah. And from what we do, covering politics and political stuff, he had a very unique way of covering politics. He obviously didn't ever really give any kind of honest analysis on political situations, but the way that he skewered politicians was so brutal.
It didn't
without
matter.
saying anything.
No, didn't matter, Democrat or Republican.
No.
And most lately, the one that he's skewered, I think, the best has been, or the worst, has been Chris Christie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But, he legendary stuff with Christie, with Weiner, his stuff with George Bush. The stuff he did with George Bush, he would just take George Bush's comments and play them back verbatim, and the way that Letterman would react, just with his facial expressions, were perfect. He didn't have to add anything to it. It was genius.
The one thing that I like most about Letterman, and I think is the most kind of refreshingly honest thing about him, is his laugh.
Yeah.
He really has a genuine...
Yep.
He really finds things... When he finds things funny...
Right, exactly. It's not a put-on.
No.
It's not a showbiz laugh. When he laughs, it's something genuinely funny. Yeah, that's a good point.
So now everybody's going to be flocking to the show right? To get it one last, you know Obama's going to be on.
Sure.
You know Joe Biden's going to be on. Michelle Obama will be on. And every wannabe hopeful for 2016 is going to be on.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know that.
You're going to have
right?
to.
The big question then is, what's the skinny on who's going to take his place?
It's a good question.
Somebody named Jimmy. We know that. Well, it has to be.
You're going to have all three Jimmys.
Yeah. Jimmy.
You know, there's a real question here about diversity in late night, right? Because
Tell me.
got, I mean, it's dominant.
Saturday Night Live just had that little.
Yeah. It's dominated by white men, be
Right,
it Seth
right.
Meyers, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, David Letterman. So there's a real opportunity here. You know, obviously a lot of people.
First
right
of
off
all,
the
for a
bat-
woman.
For a woman. A lot of people mentioned Tina Fey, Amy Poehler. They both kind of been asked about it over the past couple of years, and both of them have kind of expressed that they're not that interested in that.
Yeah.
It is kind of a slog. You never see these guys do anything other than their show.
Right.
You know, it is a Monday through Friday pain in the ass gig. So I'm not sure if either one of them will take.
Talking about a Monday through Friday pain in the ass gig.
Touche. Touche.
A little sensitive here, hitting close to home.
But they both said they're not that interested in it. Maybe they could be changed. I hope that they are. I think Tina Fey is one of the funniest humans on the planet.
I have to tell you, if I had to pick somebody, I don't know whether she could do it. And I'm blanking on her name. I'm embarrassed. She did the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Wanda Sykes. Is it Wanda Sykes?
African American
Wanda
woman.
Sykes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, she's hilarious.
She's hilarious.
Unbelievable.
That's not a bad choice, actually, because
she is so funny. You know, these were the George Bush days.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. And she said about Dick Cheney, scary, Dick Cheney. She said, I told my kids that 2 cars drive up. You're walking home from school. The 2 cars drive up. And one of them's got a crook in it, and the other one's got Dick Cheney in it. You get in a car with a crook. God, she was funny. Oh, no, it was Obama. He was president because she was talking about when he came, the picture of him when he went swimming in Hawaii.
Okay.
And she said, Mr. President, we don't need to see your nipples.
Yeah, that's right.
Wanda Sykes. Right. Oh, man, she'd be my choice.
She'd be a good pick, actually.
My second choice would be Susan Paige. Susan Paige is the Washington bureau chief for USA Today. She joins us as she does every Friday. Coming up next.
This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood,
Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
On a Friday morning, early in April, April 4, here at 12 minutes before the top of the hour, we are happy to say hello, as we do every Friday morning, to our good friend, the Washington Bureau Chief of USA Today. For now, Susan Paige, until she takes over her new job there as successor to David Letterman. Those are big shoes to fill there, Susan, you know.
I have one critical problem in doing that job, which is that I fall asleep like at 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, but that's all right. You tape it during the afternoon. That's what he does.
Perfect. I don't know. I still think my body timetable may be on the wrong setting for replacing Letterman.
But,
maybe you should do it. Can you stay up, be funny?
Well, I could stay up, be funny. That's a different story, Susan. I'm not sure about that. Now, I was not here last week, so I didn't have a chance to ask you. I haven't talked to you since you and Carl went to New York to see Bryan Cranston in All the Way. How'd you like it?
I loved it.
Wasn't it great?
I thought he was terrific. I thought that within about 30 seconds you thought he was Lyndon Johnson.
Absolutely, yeah.
Did you know he was wearing fake ears?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, well...
no, really?
Somebody who went backstage, Chris Matthews told me that he went backstage and he still had his fake ears on. And, you know, it is one of those things that makes him look like LBJ.
Oh, yeah. He really does. He's got LBJ down so much. I thought the play was a little long, but overall, I just loved it.
You know, it was long, and some of the secondary characters kind of cycled through in not a memorable way, but he was LBJ, and what a year that was, 1964, man.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I loved it. So you've been busy lately. First, I want to ask about Kirsten Gillibrand. I know you've interviewed her lately, but the Supreme Court decision, Susan, you and I have been around politics a long time. Politics is really changing, isn't it, with Citizens United and now with this McCutchen decision?
Well, you know, I say thank goodness there are 5 Supreme Court justices willing to stand up for the rights of rich guys.
Yeah, right.
They are really embattled, you know, so it's great they'll have more places to put their money.
The Sheldon Adelson caucus, right, or something on the court.
I mean, the group of people affected by this decision, lifting the aggregate caps, is really small. It's a couple hundred people. But, man, it really expands their possibilities for exerting influence on our politics.
That is stunning. You know, I'm sure you're right, it's a couple of hundred. Peter and I were talking the other day that it might be 1,000 or 1,500. I don't even think it's that big.
You know, I saw a newspaper, it was either the Washington Post or the LA Times, that had actually gone back and looked at how many people hit against the aggregate, how many donors hit the aggregate limit, and it was, I think, about 500.
Whoa. Jeez. Whoa. But I have to tell you, in all of my time on the other side of the fence, right, in active in politics as a Democratic state chair of California, I know a lot of these very wealthy donors and very generous donors and very good people, right? Not one of them ever said to me, God, I wish I could give more money. Not one of them. They loved the fact that there were limits because that gave them a good excuse to say, I'm sorry, I've already maxed out.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know if you take the 200, whatever it is, or 500, right, and then subtract from that the number of people who really want to give an unlimited amount of money, you're down to probably a dozen.
Yeah, a handful of people.
Yeah.
But now their endorsements, their support will mean as much as the party support, right? As much as as getting Oprah Winfrey to endorse you.
It's like this Sheldon Adelson primary, they're calling it, last weekend in Las Vegas. So Kirsten Gillibrand, I think she is great. What'd she have to say?
She's she was vowing to continue her effort to get handling of sexual assault cases in the military out of the chain of command. She got a majority of the Senate with her last month, but not the 60 she needed to get past filibuster. And I said, well, how are you going to get the last 5 votes? And she said that the system is so broken that there'll be another scandal and another celebrated case that gets people riled up, and that will convince those 5 final senators to support her proposal.
If anybody can do it, she can. Did you ask her about 2016?
I did. I asked her, she's in the Senate seat that Hillary Clinton once held.
Oh, yeah.
And I asked, I said, there'll be a lot of women disappointed if Hillary Clinton doesn't choose to run. And she said absolutely positively she's going to run.
Whoa.
And she seemed quite certain she was going to win. Now, that may turn out to be true, although I thought she was less candid when I asked her about 2014. Lots of optimism by Republicans they're going to gain control of the Senate. She said flatly that would not happen, but that may be whistling past the graveyard.
Yeah. I think, if Hillary does not run, I have to tell you, I think Kirsten Gillibrand is a real possibility.
I see her as somebody with a lot of ambition and ability, and I could see her as a presidential contender, but I think 2016 is pretty early for her. But, who knows? We said that about Barack Obama,
exactly.
8 years ago.
But she's really made a difference. And did you ask her about Claire McCaskill? It's just, I can't understand why these two women are battling all over this issue where they should be together on this issue.
Yeah, well, 17 of the 20 women in the Senate voted with Kirsten Gillibrand on this issue. But it was very, I think it created lots of problems for her that a prominent woman senator and a Democrat was leading the other side as well.
I know, yeah, just very, very disappointing and hard to understand. Well, Susan, we'll let you spend the weekend practicing up on your stupid pet tricks, and your top 10 lists and everything. Getting ready. Always good to talk to you.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Susan. Have a great weekend. All right, Susan Paige, Washington Bureau Chief, usatoday.com.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
California, or the Golden State, has been in the midst of a 3-year drought, and this year, some scientists predict could be the driest in 500 years. Governor Jerry Brown declared a state of emergency in January and in February of this year. The world's 10th largest economy, California is also the United States' top agricultural producer. Half of all 888-378-8855, or email us at comments@freespeech.org to let us know your thoughts.
This week, coming up in the next hour, Peter?
In Kentucky, Mitch McConnell, his Tea Party opponent, Matt Bevin, got into some hot water. He gave a speech at a rally hosted by the American Game Fowl Defense Network.
Cockfights.
Cockfights.
Okay.
They are a pro-cockfighting group. Bevin said he had no idea. He thought it was a states' rights issue.
Get out of here.
But he spoke in front of a group that are there fighting to legalize cockfights.
And where's Mitch McConnell stand on it?
He says Matt Bevin is not a serious candidate at all.
You got to be pretty desperate if you go to the cockfighting association.
This is the Bill Press Show.
California, or the Golden State, has been in the midst of a 3-year drought, and this year, some scientists predict could be the driest in 500 years. Governor Jerry Brown declared a state of emergency in January and in February of this year. The world's 10th largest economy, California is also the United States' top agricultural producer. Half of all our fruits and vegetables come from California. The Golden State is not the only place on the planet struggling for this vital resource. In December 2013, the World Resources Institute found that 37 countries face severe water shortages. Free Speech TV would love to know what you think about this fight for water, especially if you're from the Golden State. Please call our comment line at 1-888-378-8855 or email us at comments@freespeech.org to let us know your thoughts.
Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? It's Friday morning. So glad to see Friday get here. I'm sure you are too, but we got a lot of work to do before we get into the weekend. It's the Bill Press Show this Friday morning, April 4. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us as we take a look at all the big news here in our nation's capital, around the country, around the globe, with our team here this morning, and look forward to hearing from you. You know how to do it. You can give us a call the old-fashioned way at 866-55-PRESS. You can send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Well, Peter, a lot of consternation down at the White House over the selfie.
Yeah. The selfie heard round the world.
What happened?
Well, so when the Red Sox came to the White House to celebrate their World Series win, David Ortiz, Big Papi, showed up and took the selfie with the president. Turns out it was all a publicity stunt put on by Samsung. And so the White House is now upset because the president's likeness should not be used in any kind of commercial promotion. And this was a commercial promotion.
It seemed to me that I saw the president say, "Oh, Papi wants to take a selfie. Let's do it." Right?
Yeah, he certainly, no one twisted his arm to get in on that
twisted
selfie.
His arm. The other big news, David Letterman says, "I'm throwing it in next year in 2015. That is huge. I mean, Letterman is just a giant. And he's the real survivor in the late night era, right? So what's going to happen?
It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, Letterman has been around for so long. I mean, generations of people grew up watching Letterman. So you have to wonder if they're going to go with someone completely new and different. You have to wonder if they're going to move up Craig Ferguson, the guy that's on after Letterman now. It's wide open right now.
So we got all of that to talk about, and pardon us for bragging, but the Nats are, yes, undefeated so far this season.
Go
and
Nats.
Today is home game, opening game here in Washington, D.C. Go Nats. All of that coming up on the Bill Press Show. Stay with us.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Let's blow up.
such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach
likes
your
you.
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
David Letterman shakes up the late night world by saying he is stepping down in 2015. Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? It is Friday, April 4. This is the Bill Press Show. Good to see you this morning as we boom out to you live from Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, on your local progressive talk radio station around the country. Everywhere in the country. On Free Speech TV and on our video stream, TawkrTV, worldwide, youtube.com/TawkrTV. Thanks for joining us this morning as we head into the weekend, first by tackling all the big stories of the day, giving you a chance to comment at 866-55-PRESS, or give us your comments on Twitter at BP Show or on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. We like it to be a real two-way conversation here every morning. We'll tell you what's going on, what we think about it, and you tell us what it all means to you. Peter Ogburn and Lisa Murphy leading up the team this morning.
Hey.
Good morning.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Finally, it's here.
I am so glad to see this Friday come.
It's been a grueling month.
God, I've been fighting this sore throat all week. So it'll be better Monday. Monday I'll be back in full form.
I have nothing but confidence that you'll be back in fighting shape by Monday.
No late nights this weekend, Bill.
Don't go to the baseball games this weekend and yell.
Okay.
Just rest.
I promise you I will be here Monday, or I won't, either. Alicia Cruz is here ready to take your calls again at 866-55-PRESS, and Cyprian Bolding stopped by on his way to the Nationals game today. You know, he's got to work the big game today.
Right.
But our videographer here this morning, as always, doing an excellent job. As I mentioned, David Letterman last night making the big yesterday afternoon to the studio crowd for his taping his show, made the big announcement that he had called Les Moonves before the president of CBS before the taping, told him he was going to announce that he was stepping down in 2015. I guess they've talked about it before, obviously, and it's just a matter of when he was going to do it.
Right.
But still, big shocker. He was in rare form last night. He talked about the fact this is the time of the year when those who suffer allergies suffer the most. And David Letterman said, if you think there's any hope, any medication, any way you can deal with this, you better think again.
They say that this will be the worst allergy season ever.
No.
Yep. Take a look at this announcement.
Actually, there is no hope for allergy sufferers. That's right. No decongestant, saline spray, antihistamine, acupuncture treatment, vitamin supplement, steam shower, herbal tea, neti pot, nasal corticosteroid, probiotic, or HEPA filter will do a damn thing. A message from the American Allergy Association.
The AAA, American Allergy Association.
AAA. Wouldn't you love a spot that was as honest as that?
Right. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And you know what? They've got all these allergy medications, and I've got those allergies, and DC is so bad for it.
Oh, yeah.
It's the worst.
It's so bad. But you know what? It never really touches them. I mean, I've got it right now. I got the bad eyes and all that stuff. It doesn't.
I remember when I came here 16 years ago, and got a new doctor here, and when he was, just asking all those questions, and he says, "So, do you have any allergies?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, you will."
Yeah.
Because DC is. I still don't. Knock on wood, but DC is really known for that. But with all those, on television, particularly during sports games and during the evening news, you see all these commercials for the medication, all these health products.
Yeah.
It would be nice if somebody said, "So, you've got a cold? Tough. There's nothing we can do for you.
Right.
You're just going to have to."
Yeah, that's what a doctor would tell you.
Yeah.
You can't do anything.
Yeah, just give it a week and it'll go away.
Sleep it off.
I like to take Claritin, Allegra, and Zyrtec all at the same time and just let them fight it out.
And get a nice dull headache there.
By the way, don't do that.
No, don't.
Do not take that advice.
He was just kidding.
That's terrible advice. God.
Hey, big show.
Sorry.
Well, we don't take anything you say seriously.
Please
anyhow.
don't. Nothing.
Coming up, we're going to be talking to public campaign about the Supreme Court decision this week, opening the doors to yet even more money in politics, and joined by reporters for Politico and Think Progress in the next hour. And how about it? One restaurant owner down in South Carolina getting in a lot of trouble because he said, "I don't want any guns in my restaurant." But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple other stories making news. Burger Wars 2014. Shake Shack, the burger restaurant that started in New York, made the big announcement. Danny Meyer, yes indeed. They are making big expansion plans. They've already expanded to some areas.
Yeah.
We have a couple here in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
They have one at the stadium and then one downtown. They have a couple open in Boston and some other areas, but they have announced they are expanding to, listen carefully, Atlanta, Austin, Las Vegas, and Chicago.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to Chicago. Still, by the way, no California location for Shake Shack. I don't think that they're quite ready to have a mano-a-mano face-off with the In-N-Out Burger of California, but they are definitely expanding. So keep an eye out for the Shake Shack. I love Shake Shack.
I do too. Five Guys is still my
still
favorite.
go Five Guys.
Yeah,
I still go
my
Five
all-time favorite. Right.
Bill, how did President William Henry Harrison die?
He got a cold.
That's what you think. Our history classes told us
He got a cold when he was giving the longest inauguration speech ever.
In the rain.
Yes.
And he got pneumonia and died. That's what our history classes told us. Well, they are now taking a look, scientists are taking a look and saying that might not actually be the case. Call it a very cold case. Scientists are saying that what really might have happened is that because there were no sewers in Washington, D.C. at the time, he had an infection from consuming sewage in the water, and he was taking medication for something he already had, which neutralized the gastric acid that would have killed off the bacteria in the sewage, and he got an internal infection that killed him, not pneumonia.
Oh, no.
What's the point?
Well, the point is to just
He's
correct
still
the
dead.
record. He's still dead. He's still dead.
How did he go out?
I don't think William Henry Harrison cares our speculation about how he actually died.
And by the way, if you're going to go out, I would rather go out with pneumonia than going out by drinking raw sewage.
All right.
So
I'll stick to my theory.
All right.
He got a cold.
Here's another health scare you have to worry about what you're eating. Pancake syrup. Pancake syrup might be bad for you. There's a chemical in it that might be a carcinogen, according to Consumer Reports. Here's the deal. If you eat and consume regular, real
Maybe
maple...
that's what happened to William Henry Harrison.
Pancake syrup. If you eat real maple syrup, you have no problem. But if you get pancake syrup or any other kind of syrup that's not maple syrup, it might not be good for you. Just be careful out there. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. You can't eat anything.
Don't eat egg yolks.
Eat
more bacon.
Yeah, just ignore it.
Kale.
Ignore it. Yeah, this story out of South Carolina caught my attention. I'm sure it caught yours too. This the chef down there, the head and the owner and the chef at Backstreet's Pub and Grill in Clemson. I've never been to Clemson, South Carolina.
I don't think you're missing much.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay. His name is Pete Masco. So he's gotten in a lot of trouble. Nationwide, he's become the target of all kinds of hate mail, this hate campaign, a lot of it generated by the NRA. Because this chef decided that even though South Carolina had just passed a new concealed weapons law saying that you could take, which included you were allowed to take your concealed weapons into restaurants, he put up a sign saying, "No concealable weapons allowed." Basically, this is a gun-free zone. And for that, he has, as I said, he's even gotten death threats and everything, and everybody's mounting this campaign. He had to change his phone number, and it's become a big cause célèbre. And the question is whether or not a restaurant owner in states where there is a concealed weapons law has to open the door to guns in the restaurants. We learned yesterday that in Arizona, that's not the case. In Arizona, there are restaurants that have the sign of a pistol in a circle with a line through it, meaning, now, I'm not sure they frisk you when you come in, right?
Right. Yeah, I don't think that's the case.
To find out for sure.
Right.
But they're certainly putting out the word, just like some restaurants say, no cell phones in here, right? At least you have to turn them off. You can't bring your gun in a restaurant. In Tennessee, where they have a concealed weapons law, there's actually a group that's called Gun-Free Dining Tennessee, which is a group of restaurant owners who have said these are, they have a little symbol out front. So you can choose to dine gun-happy or gun-free, if you will. Yeah. Why shouldn't you be able to do that? I mean, I guess the question is, 866-55-PRESS, whether this guy should have the right in a state where there's a concealed weapons law to say, okay, you may take him anywhere else, but not in my restaurant. And I think he's absolutely should have that right.
And by the way,
just like you can ban cell phones in a restaurant.
Yeah. And by the way, the same people that are going to fight for you to carry a gun should be the same people who will fight for a business owner to run his business his or her business the way that they would like.
Isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are you to tell me how I should run my
Yeah.
business?
Now, obviously, you can't say I'm not going to serve any Jews.
Right.
I'm not going to serve any blacks. I'm not going to serve any gays. I mean, those are inherent. First of all, you can't do anything about that. You either are or you aren't. But you certainly have a choice as to whether or not you bring in a gun, or you bring in a cell phone, or you bring in a big loud music box, which you wouldn't be allowed to bring in a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
I mean, or you can say, I'm not going to. We see this all the time. No shirts, no suit, no shoes, no service.
That's right.
Yeah. So why not?
No shirts, no shoes, no guns.
Yeah,
no
right.
problem.
But this has become a big issue, and I don't know why. Because again, in other states, they've already done this. Maybe it's because it's South Carolina, or maybe it's because it's Clemson, or maybe because the NRA is concerned that if too many restaurants do this, it could undermine the concealed weapons law.
I think the South still has a sort of a fascination and a level of comfort with guns, right? A lot of these people grew up with them. I grew up there. I grew up around guns. It's not something that, they are as scared of or have frankly a healthy fear of. They don't fear them the way that a lot of people do, because they just grew up around them. And there are also a lot of pockets of enlightened areas around the South, Asheville, Charleston, to a certain degree. Clemson ain't one of them.
Yeah, is that right?
Clemson just ain't one of those places. I've been there, and it's just not that kind of place.
One other chef, Sean Brock, you may have heard of him. I guess. Yeah, Sean Brock. He's got restaurants in South Carolina and Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said to me, it's a bit strange to me that you think you need to carry a gun when you're having a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things you never think about. Someone has a gun in a restaurant,
I don't want anybody at the next table or at my table with a gun in a restaurant.
If I'm eating dinner, and I look over and I spy somebody who's got a gun strapped to his belt,
I'm leaving the restaurant.
That's all I'll be able to think about for the rest of the meal. Now, if I'm a restaurant owner, is that really what I want my customer thinking about?
No,
because I won't go back.
And by the way, just to show you what could happen under such laws, here this story from Kernersville, North Carolina. A man was in a Palenque Mexican restaurant on North Main Street in Kernersville. He went up to pay at the cash register, and he dropped his handgun.
Whoops!
And the gun went off. Whoops! Yeah. Oh, gee. Yeah. Well, too bad. I know you're enjoying your coffee there and finishing up your meal, but
And by the way, these are guns.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you drop your cell phone or your cell phone goes off, you're going to piss somebody off, probably.
Right.
That's the worst that's going to happen.
You're not going to kill them.
You're not going to kill anybody.
Yeah.
You're not going to kill anybody.
Restaurants, chefs, that's the question. Should they have the right to say no guns, no concealed weapons in my restaurant? Damn straight, as far as I'm concerned. 866-55-PRESS. Pete Matsko at Backstreet's Pub and Grill in Clemson, South Carolina. My new hero. Let's talk about it. 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
I have run these canyons for 6 million years. I have traveled from the Rocky Mountains to the deserts, through scorching heat and freezing cold, from the land of the dinosaurs to fields of food.
I lend my hand to 7 states, 2 countries, 9 national parks,
and 36 million people across an arid West.
I am not the strongest or the largest, but I am the hardest working.
People love me.
My playfulness,
My beauty.
my power,
My life. But I don't think I can offer any more.
I am
I am
tired,
tired,
tapped,
and tied. Of the hundreds of major rivers in the world, I am one of the few who no longer kisses the sea.
battles to harness my soul have been won and lost. Use me wisely, and I will sustain you.
Use me like you have, and I will break. My name
is
Red. The Grand River Red. The American Nile.
The Canyon Maker. I am the Colorado River.
And I am the most endangered river in America.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Trouble at the Backstreets Pub and Grill in Clemson, South Carolina. So, by the way, the sign that Pete Matsko, the owner, put up at the front of his restaurant is, quote, "If you are such a loser that you feel a need to carry a gun with you when you go out, I do not want your business, douchebag." Hero of mine. Yeah. So he put that sign up. He could have put up the regular sign, with a gun in the middle. Yeah. Because the state law, I meant to mention this earlier, it does say there are two, you can carry your gun in a restaurant, but there are two limits. Armed people are not allowed to drink alcohol.
That makes sense.
Yes. And
hold my beer.
And restaurant owners do, under the law, they can opt out by posting a sign banning guns. Now, not everybody puts up the douchebag sign, however, but he certainly got the right to do it.
On that note, we got a comment.
I think he is right to do it.
Yes. Yeah. We got a comment on this on Twitter, @BP Show. Astasia says, it's a liability issue. If someone gets hurt inside the restaurant, it's on the restaurateur.
Good point. Yeah. Good point. Stacy's out in Chicago on WCPT. Hello, Stacy. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Yeah, what do you think?
I just thought the hypocrisy is so common with these right-wing people. They want to pass these laws that restaurants don't have to allow gays in.
Yeah. Yes.
They want to force another restaurant that doesn't like guns to have guns.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
No, and Peter made that point earlier, that the conservative position here is that the business owner, right, should be able to run his business, his or her business, the way they want, right? And the government should stay out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, they want to even pass laws on their side that, it should be fine to let guns in wherever they want them.
Good point, Stacey. Good point. Yeah, hypocrisy. It's everywhere you look with these right-wingers. Hey, while we're in Chicago, let's say hello to Daphne as well. Hi, Daphne. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, everybody. So, same thought. Illinois is the last state to fall with concealed carry and concealed weapons, but all over Chicago, they're the signs. And even in other places in Illinois, at restaurants, no guns here. So I think I want to go to a place where I know people aren't going to bring guns, and I don't want to be around them, and I think the restaurant owner should have that right. Absolutely.
So you do see those signs around Illinois?
All over.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah. I think it's the last place you really want one. You know, thanks, Daphne, for the call.
Sure.
Pete Lasko says about his place, he explains it this way. He said, on some nights, you have college kids in here, wall to wall, drinking.
Yeah.
You don't want a gun in that kind of an environment.
Absolutely not.
No. I mean, no, exactly. Good for Pete Lasko. I think we ought to take a field trip to Clemson just to go to the Backstreet Pub and Grill.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between R and E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
33 minutes after the hour now, Friday morning, April 4. It is The Bill Press Show coming to you live from our nation's capital on your local progressive talk radio station, on Free Speech TV, and on our video stream at TawkrTV. And brought to you today by the National Education Association. Good men and women, teachers of America, are creating great public schools for every student under President Dennis Van Rokel. And you can find out more about their good work at NEA.org. Big news in Washington this week. Probably the biggest story out of Washington this week is a decision by the Supreme Court, the so-called McCutchen decision, which as I wish he were Chief Justice, as Justice Stephen Breyer said, if you thought Citizens United opened the door to more money in politics, the McCutchen decision opens the floodgates. Adam Smith is Communications Director for the great organization Public Campaign, joins us in studio this morning to talk about this decision and its implications on American politics. Adam, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. This really does change the whole nature of politics, doesn't it? And not for the better.
Definitely not for the better. No, the Supreme Court decided this week to throw out something called aggregate contribution limits, which is the overall total an individual could give to across all parties, PACs, and candidates. In 2012, that was $123,200. So we're not talking about regular people here. We're not talking about me, you, your families. You're talking about the people. Well, I don't know your families, but you're talking about the people who give the most already, and they're now going to be able to give more. It's the lobbyists, it's the Wall Street donors. It's about 1,000 to 1,200 people who get near that limit every cycle.
I was going to ask you how many people.
I don't know if you knew this about Bill's family. He has an Uncle Sugar who's very very wealthy.
So we're talking about 1,200 people, but how many of those people want to be able to give an unlimited amount of money?
Some of them do.
Like Sean McCutchen.
Yeah, absolutely. Some
but
of them
not
do.
all of them.
Yeah, I mean, Sean McCutchen is interesting. He kept saying he was just an average person wanting to make his voice heard.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to give $1,776 to as many candidates as I want. But he's a millionaire, right? And I think a lot of them still already do give to groups. They give to, super PACs and others where they can give more money. This is just allowing sort of a handful of elite donors get more influence in our political process, and I think that's a problem.
Can they give an unlimited amount?
No. When you do all the math, there's some varying estimates on this, but one person then, I think it's something around $2.5 million they'd be able to give, and then that would be spread across all these different party committees. The limit was passed as part of the Watergate reforms, the post-Watergate reforms, to sort of limit corruption.
Right.
And generally, the court has upheld contribution limits as an important tool to limit corruption. So that's part of the scary part of this decision. More than just the 1,000 or 1,200 donors will be impacted, but what this means down the line.
So it does get a little complicated, but as you point out, the total aggregate was about 123,000.
Yeah.
Okay? Which so for candidates, an individual presently can give $5,200 per cycle.
That's right.
For candidates.
Yeah.
Up to 43,000 something. Right?
In 2014, it was 48,000 candidates.
48, right?
Yeah.
Something. And then they can give to party committees up to 70-something.
Yes.
And you add those two together, and you get to the 123,
yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But now, when you take away that 123 limit and say they can give as much as they want, but they could still only give to any one candidate 5,200.
Yeah.
My question is, how long before they go back and get rid of that limit too?
That's absolutely right. And, there's some...
in fact, didn't Justice Thomas dissent
yes.
based on the fact that this decision didn't put enough money in politics?
Yes, it was a plurality decision for the justices sided with Roberts. Thomas had his own saying, let's get rid of limits, which is actually, Mitch McConnell's lawyer actually had 10 minutes during oral arguments to argue just that, for legal rationale that would lead to throwing out limits altogether. Fortunately, they haven't gone there yet, but wouldn't be surprising if they, in the next case down the line, they agree to hear a challenge to limits.
And isn't this whole thing based on the concept first expressed, I believe, in Buckley v. Vallejo, that campaign money, campaign contributions are an expression of free speech and are protected by the First Amendment.
That's right. And the also weird thing about
that's
Justice...
nonsense, isn't it?
It's what?
Nonsense?
Yes. I mean, I think that's nonsense. And then what's also nonsense is Justice Roberts has this very narrow view of what constitutes corruption. He sort of says the only thing that's corruption is quid pro quo of direct bribes, which
I give you money and you vote for my project.
Right, which is so hard to prove, first of all. And people are smart enough to know that they don't write contracts saying, I'm doing this for you. But there's so much more about how when you have elections of the wealthy, how it skews to them. Senator Chris Murphy says, I hear a lot more about carried interest when I'm calling donors than I do at the grocery store. And so that sort of skewing of the political process, we think it also corrupts our democracy, but Justice Roberts doesn't.
Well, it undermines our democracy in another way, doesn't it? In the sense that more and more people feel that their vote doesn't matter, right? Or that they might as well not even vote.
Yeah, that's right. There's such cynicism, and I think that the role of money in politics definitely fuels that. We actually asked, in part of a poll we did in November, we asked voters who they think members of Congress listen to when they decide who they vote. And number one was, contributions and lobbyists.
The people who write the big checks.
Yeah, then at the very bottom, something around 11% was their constituents. And so people know that the game is rigged, and this is only going to fuel that cynicism.
The name of the organization is Public Campaign. Again, it's publiccampaign.org. They've been a leader in the effort to get some of the money out of politics and to get to public financing of campaigns. Congressman John Sarbanes from Maryland has been a real leader in this issue. You've seen him here on the show a couple of times talking about the legislation that he has introduced to try to fix this. So now you have Citizens United. On top of Citizens United, you have McCutchen. And as we just said, there probably will be yet another case brought to the Supreme Court, which would get rid of, all limits altogether, right? This is John Roberts, what he wants, isn't it? I mean, it seems to be his agenda.
Absolutely. It's, there's been a long-standing legal strategy by groups who are opposed to these common sense regulations, and having John Roberts at the head of the court has helped move that quicker. Today the court will actually decide whether to hear a case that challenges an Iowa corporate contribution ban. And so if they take that up, you could then see, and I think some people believe that the ban on corporate contributions will go before the ban on contribution limits.
The Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi held her weekly news conference yesterday. She was asked about McCutchen. I thought she made an important point. Here she is and what this represents.
Our founders, they sacrificed everything, their lives, their liberty, their sacred honor, for a democracy, a government of the many, not a government of the money.
That's what we're talking about, right?
Absolutely.
Instead of a democracy.
Put down a bumper sticker.
Yeah, I like government of the money, right? Not of the many.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a plutocracy, right? Rather than a democracy.
Absolutely. And when people talked in 2012 about how super PACs lost You know, they said, oh, all these big money lost. But when you think about what that spending means for members of Congress and how much time they have to spend fundraising and raising money from the biggest donors, from the wealthiest people, there's no way to say that they lost because it absolutely fuels the money chase. And it's this never-ending money chase. People are raising thousands of dollars a day, spending hours on the phone, and they're not doing their jobs. You know, they shouldn't. They go to their hearing and energy and commerce, and then they go to a fundraiser with oil lobbyists, you know? And it's just, it's a problem. The whole system is an inherent conflict of interest.
I was going to say, the fact that in 2012, in that race, that we saw Rick Santorum, Michelle Bachmann, Herman Cain, all these people surged to the top of the Republican ticket, all because they all had their
sugar daddy.
own Uncle Sugars,
They
right?
did. Yeah,
and we
they did.
know these people. They're like super villains,
Foster
with super
Freeze.
villain names.
Sheldon Adelson was with
Koch
Newt Gingrich, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Rick Santorum had Foster Freeze. You know, everybody had their own sugar daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
and we saw that last weekend in Las Vegas with Sheldon Adelson. They're calling it the Sheldon Adelson primary.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a primary anymore. You just pay homage to the rich guy, you know, and he doles out $93 million in 2012.
That was so blatant last weekend. It was like we're not even pretending anymore.
Right.
And we are just going to go ahead and prostrate ourselves for these billionaires. And
So sick.
It's like our elections should not be a conversation between rich Democrats and rich Republicans. And that's basically what it's becoming.
Yeah. And I think most people don't realize that these members of Congress, you're right, they might have a hearing, they might have to go to the floor to vote, which takes like 10 minutes. But they devote hours every day, not in their congressional office. There are places, both parties have them, buildings nearby where there are phone banks and little offices, and they're all set up, and they go in there and they spend hours every day on the phone raising money.
Yep. And, you know, at the beginning of 2012, I don't know if you saw this, but the D-Trip sent around, DCCC sent around the beginning of 2012 to all their freshman members, here's what you need to do with your day. And these slides, it was like, spend 4 hours fundraising. And it said, you know, they said, you know, you don't necessarily, you're a freshman, you don't have to be at these hearings. Just cut out of the hearings early to go raise money.
4 hours every day. This is what we elect them to do? This is what we pay them to do? I don't think so. I don't. Yeah, anybody can argue
Can you
this.
imagine?
It must be soul crushing.
It's gotta be.
And they will
Wait a
say
minute,
it. They
as
will
if
tell
they
you.
had a soul to begin with.
I mean,
sorry.
No, I agree. Members, but I mean, a lot of people, they're these really good people, I think, that feel like they have something to say, and that's why they decide to run for office. And you have this really corrupting system. People don't run for office because they're corrupt. Very few members of Congress like to raise money. I could name a few. But
No, but
they
people-
just stuck in the
most of-
system.
Most of them hate it, but they get in the
Yes.
system and they're told
You have to.
You have to.
And
do
it works for them. It's how they get elected, and it's hard to get them to change it.
So what's the answer? We'll find out from Adam Smith when we come back. Your calls, your questions, your comments always welcome at 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough. 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 Enough.
Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad, as a friend, as a husband,
As a wife.
as an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday.
It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
12 minutes before the top of the hour now. We're talking about the Supreme Court decision, McCutchen decision, disastrous for our democracy. Adam Smith is here from Public Campaign Communications Director. Adam, the big question is, so what do we do about this? What is the answer? I mean, one thing is we need a new Supreme Court.
Yep.
And we need to reverse that, put a 5-4 the other way, right? But that's going to take some time, right? But what is the policy answer?
It's a good question. You know, it's important to getting the money out is important, and we should think about getting the money out. But we have to figure out
what
how
does that mean?
Get it. Citizens United, all that stuff. But we have to figure out.
I mean, getting money out. You mean going to public financing? Is that?
Well, that's what I'm. Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. A lot of people focus on how do we get the money out, but we have to also focus on how we get people back in. How do we?
Good point.
Create a system that incentivizes members of Congress to focus on raising money from their constituents, from people back home. Public campaign. We think that answer is a system of public financing of elections, something that combines matching funds, public matching funds, and you had Congressman Sarbanes on recently, and he talked about his Government by the People Act, a bill that combines tax credit for small donations with matching funds on small donations, and we think that system is really the way to increase participation and increase politicians' reliance on regular people.
So that if you qualified as a serious candidate somehow, right?
Yeah.
By raising enough money from small contributions, then you would get, and the people who gave those contributions would get a tax write-off. Then you as a candidate would get matching funds.
Yeah. So how this particular bill works, the Sarbanes bill, is that donation once you agree to participate. Donations of $150 or less would be matched on a 6-to-1 basis. So that really, it's actually similar. New York City has a similar matching fund system that's been working since the early 90s. And, Bill de Blasio used it for his primary rate. Well, he used it, and you could see maybe how that would have helped him to get through his primary.
Yeah. Let's say hello to Mike. Mike's calling from Shepherdstown, West Virginia. Hi, Mike. Thanks for joining us. What's your comment?
Bill and Adam, I totally agree with Adam. I think that occasionally the powerful in our country do something so egregiously stupid that it angers both sides, and I think we're at that moment right now. I think also, too, I believe that articles of impeachment should be drawn up for Chief Justices, for the Chief Justice and the other justices who sided with this ridiculousness.
Well, I from your lips to God's ears, but it's tough to do.
I know. Thank you guys so much. Keep up the great work.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you,
man.
Mike. Yeah, you can impeach, I guess, a justice.
I
can't
think
you?
that you can. Yeah,
I'm not even sure, but that's
I'm not
that's
sure they're
not
gonna
going to
go
happen.
there quite yet.
No. I just was.
But on his point,
No, it's curious. Now I think about it, if whether you can or not, Congress would have to.
Yeah,
do
they also
it.
don't have a set of ethics rules.
No, exactly.
That other judges have.
But on his point about that sometimes something so egregious happens that it pisses off both sides, I don't think that's the case here. Reince Priebus went out there and embraced this
they were
decision.
a party in the decision.
Yeah,
I mean, it was their
fought for
lawyers
this.
that helped Sean McCutchen.
The RNC fought for this decision.
Yeah, right. So that raises a question: who benefits from this decision?
Yeah.
The American people do not.
Yeah.
Our democratic system, democracy, does not. Who does benefit from this decision?
That's right. And first, before I go on, I want to just say that I'm also West Virginian, so I appreciate my calling.
Shout out to West Virginia.
Shout out to West Virginia.
Nice.
It's an important place. Who benefits? So
Wet and wild.
in the
isn't
short
that what
term,
they say?
likely
Wild,
to
wonderful,
benefit
isn't it?
Republicans a little bit more. When you look at the people who reach this limit, they gave more. They're more Republican than Democratic, so it's the people who can benefit the most of the party committees, right? The people that can then what you could imagine happening is Harry Reid, Mitch McConnell, somebody putting together this joint fundraising committee. They say, I will put together a committee that combines all of my candidates, like all the young gun candidates, all this caucus, and then one person would write a big check to that committee, and then they would divvy it out across all the different committees. So while you think, well, how is 5,200 to 20 different people corrupting? If you combine it, then this one caucus has raised this much money from this one person.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, this is a disaster, and I think we are going to rue the day. This is why it's so important to vote for president, folks. Don't say you got to stay home. There's a lot on the line here for the Supreme Court. Publiccampaign.org. Adam Smith, great job. Thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
All right, I'll come back and tell you what the president's up to today.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
California, or the Golden State, has been in the midst of a 3-year drought, and this year, some scientists predict could be the driest in 500 years. Governor Jerry Brown declared a state of emergency in January and in February of this year. The world's 10th largest economy, California is also the United States' top agricultural producer. Half of all our fruits and vegetables come from California. The Golden State is not the only place on the planet struggling for this vital resource. In December 2013, the World Resources Institute found that 37 countries face severe water shortages. Free Speech TV would love to know what you think about this fight for water, especially if you're from the Golden State. Please call our comment line at 1-888-378-8855 or email us at comments@freespeech.org to let us know your thoughts.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
This is the Bill Press Show.
In the next hour, Burgess Everett here from Politico, and then Travis Waldron from Think Progress. President Obama, busy day at the White House today, gets the daily briefing with the Vice President at 10 o'clock this morning. Then the two of them meet with the Treasury Secretary, Jack Lew, later this morning. This afternoon at 2 o'clock, the President will be hosting the Prime Minister of Tunisia, don't ask me to pronounce his name, in the Oval Office. And later this afternoon, he will be holding a reception for Greek Independence Day.
Sure, why not?
I didn't know this was Greek Independence Day.
Well, we should celebrate, man.
We should have had Chris Kofinas in today.
Should have Souvlaki in.
Yeah. Come on, man.
That's this afternoon in the East Room, and our briefing with Jay Carney with Josh Ernest today at 12:30.
This is the Bill Press Show.
I'm a Piston fan. Their slogan was, "We come to work." That's what Detroit about. That's why they used it. It's a team thing. They won 2 championships, a team. There was no star. No mayor can come in here and be a star. It's a team thing. No governors can come in here and think you can do it by yourself. It's a team thing. You got communities. They got ideas too. The only thing wrong with Detroit, people have lost hope here. Residents, city workers, so much corruption. They lose hope. But I grew up here. I love this city. I think it can come back. I've been working for the city 24 and a half years. Within the last 10 years, we took 4 pay cuts and then an additional 10% wage cut. I've lost a home.
When you take all of the decisions out of the city of Detroit, all of us, then what do you have? Exactly what we got. A lot of problems. Every time the city seems to fall into a problem, it's always on the backs of us workers.
You wake up out of a dead sleep and you jump behind the wheel and take off driving and try to get everybody there safe, not knowing really what you're pulling up to, not eligible for Social Security. So the pension is my sole salary at this point.
We've been in business here 39 years. We've seen a lot of changes in Detroit. The area was a lot of industry, a lot of city workers. It's getting very tough for the city workers. It's getting tough for us as a business people.
Response times are increasing because of the closing of companies, which takes your insurance rate through the roof. So all the things that affect us affect the citizens.
I worked for the city in different capacities for 29 years. I feel like an old jacket. They use me up and they throw me away. In my condition, nobody's gonna hire me. I'm 68 years old. Half the times, I can't get my blood pressure medicine. It's either feeding myself blood pressure or paying bills.
$754. By the time they take all the deductions for I have my car insurance, my house insurance, and my health insurance taken out. So the time they take all that, I'll get about $300 after they take all that out. I don't understand it. I can't see how the governor is allowing this to happen and what they're doing and they want to blame it all on the seniors. Not only the seniors, but the city workers. And we worked hard. I know I worked hard.
I've been in Detroit since 1946. I was 14 years old when I came in. I don't live large at all, I wish I could. I don't know when the last time I've been shopping. I only get $1,100, and I'm 81 years old, and I need every penny that I can get and that I do get. And I'm very, very upset about the idea of them taking away my pensions that I worked 30 years for. I think it's terrible that they talk about Detroit like they do, because Detroit has been very good to me.
I have a lot of city workers coming in with their uniforms on, Detroit Water Department, Police Department, Fire Department. I get a lot of people, the Border Patrol come in. So if I lose that customer base, I'm going to be in a position where I might have to close down. If they take away their pensions, if they start cutting jobs, it's going to cut into a large percentage of not only our business, but other businesses that are in the city of Detroit. We're here. We've been here for 26 years. We're still trying to do business in the city.
Detroiters are survivors. They tough, they adapt, but only can do so much when your politicians are ahead of you and we're not on the same team. We're not gonna let Detroit be erased, bulldozed, or wherever. We're gonna fight to the bitter end. Detroit gonna survive.
In the early 20th century, the war to end all wars didn't end war at all. It stoked the fires of change. A traumatized world was ripe for change. The world was ready for modernism. Modernists wanted to forget history, or at least reinterpret it. More than just a style, modernism applied to virtually all forms of creative expression. Innovative artists like Picasso, Escher, Dali, they all started looking at their world differently. Other artists tried painting light itself. These were the Impressionists. Surrealists went a bit further. We had entered the age of the isms: Cubism, Symbolism, Futurism, Constructivism. All these new modern ways of looking at the world blew people away. When it came to architecture, modernists were intrigued by emerging technology. Concrete, glass and steel featured heavily in their buildings. Modernists believed that they could design a better society. Ornamental indulgence was considered a frivolous waste of effort. They thought function should always dictate form, and that mankind's intelligence, creativity and capability for radical thinking should be celebrated. Take the Russian inventor Georgy Krutikov. He suggested an idea for a city held aloft by electrical currents. This at a time when there was barely enough wattage to keep the lights on. Not everything they designed was a resounding success. But you could argue modernism was the single most influential movement of the 20th century. From house music to housewares, tables and chairs to graphic design, all have been created by the aesthetics and ideas of modernism.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
David Letterman says, take this job and shove it. I'm out of here in 2015. Can you believe it? Late night without David Letterman. Bound to happen sometime. Didn't expect it right now. Good morning, everybody. It is Friday, April 4. Good to see you this morning. Thank you for joining us. It is the Bill Press Show. We are here with you on your local progressive talk radio station, you bet, all across this great country of ours. And we are here with you worldwide on our video stream. It's TawkrTV, youtube.com/Tawker, TAWKR-TV. And whether you're listening or watching or listening and watching, appreciate your being with us as we round up the week. One more hour to go here before we let you go into the weekend. The entire team here, Peter Ogburn and Elisa Murphy, chomping at the bit to get off for the weekend.
I know. Can we leave yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
One more hour.
Friday.
Hold on. Hold your horses. Alicia Cruz, got 1 more hour phone calls. 866-55-PRESS. Keep her hopping. Keep her busy. Make those calls come in at 866-55-PRESS. And Cyprian Bolding is here on his way to the Nats game this afternoon. They play their first home game today. We are all ready. We have our Nats shirts.
Natitude.
Natitude, that's it.
Yeah.
We got it today. Yep, indeed. Cyprian Bolding, our videographer. And we welcome back a good friend of the program from Politico, covers the Congress for Politico, Burgess Everett. Hello, Burgess.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
All right.
Me up early again?
We like to do that, just shake you out. Yeah, you don't have to get up as early as we did. You're here in the third hour, right?
Yeah, 8 a.m. is late around here.
I'll bring some fresh energy. How about that?
Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
yeah,
like
right. After 2 hours, we're just flagging here.
That's it, man. Yeah, we're struggling.
How about it? Right. We mentioned that David Letterman announcing yesterday on his show that he, just before the show, he called Les Moonves, president of CBS, and said, I've decided I'm going to throw in the towel, but not until next year. But he made it official yesterday. He and Paul Schrader, of course, have had such a great relationship and partnership there for so long. And now David Letterman says, don't worry, we'll be able to go down life's highway together now.
I just want to reiterate my thanks for the support from the network, all of the people who have worked here, all of the people in the theater, all the people on the staff, everybody at home. Thank you very much. And what this means now is that Paul and I can be married.
So they can make it official, right? But they've been a hell of a team for a long time.
Oh, yeah. They've been together the whole time.
Schaefer's very much, he's a great sidekick, and a great kind of foil for Letterman, has been. Yeah.
I'm genuinely a little emotional about seeing him go. To be fair, to be honest, I haven't watched in a very long time just because of the schedule that we keep and just the nature of how TV evolves. But there was a time that I didn't miss it.
He's iconic. He's got the original listicle.
Yeah, exactly.
Top 10 list.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I was saying this become part of our society. Everybody's got lists, right?
Yeah. BuzzFeed would not exist if it weren't for David Letterman.
There you go. All right, we got lots to talk about this week that Congress has been up to. We'll get into that with Burgess. And then Travis Waldron joins us from Think Progress Sports at the half hour. So we'll get right into it. But first, Peter with the big stories of the day.
Full Court Press.
Yes, indeed. Just a couple of stories making news as the weather warms up around the country. Some people are thinking about vacation time. But Glassdoor.com website took a look at how many Americans use their paid vacation days. Last year, only 25% of Americans use all of their vacation days. So 75% of America did not take all of their vacation days last year. In fact, 15% of Americans took zero.
But isn't that because a lot of people try to cash it in at the end of the year? Some people, some companies allow that.
Well, I mean, the whole idea here is that you're offered a set amount per year, and then you didn't take it.
I don't think it's that. I think some people are just dumbass.
You're probably right.
No, seriously, they think that they've got some moral obligation to work every day and never to take a vacation. I'll never forget, back when I was working for Jerry Brown, one of the cabinet secretaries I was talking to one day, and he said, Bill, I haven't taken vacation in 15 years.
It's a badge of pride.
They wear it like a badge of honor.
No, exactly. And I was supposed to be proud of him because he hadn't taken vacation. And I just said, you dumb shit. Sorry. Whoa.
That was a close one.
That was close.
I'm trigger ready over here.
But that's what I thought. At any rate, take your vacation. Yeah.
That one was coming. Holy cow. Breaking news, Bill. Breaking news on NBC's Today Show. Jenna Bush Hager sat down with her father, George W. Bush, and he revealed he has painted portraits of 24 world leaders that he is going to unveil later on today. We're going to see some of the photos or some of the paintings he made of various world leaders.
Whoa. In the shower?
Hopefully not in the shower. Hopefully not in the shower.
Like his own selfie.
That's right. And nearly 2 centuries after the death of Napoleon Bonaparte, scientists have found out where the whole Napoleon complex may have come from. Dead Famous DNA is a British TV show, and they tracked down Napoleon's penis. It was owned by a collector living in New Jersey, and they found out that Napoleon Bonaparte had a 1.5-inch long penis. They have it. They did DNA tests on it. They proved that it's him, and they have now determined...
This is not fair.
That's where the whole Napoleon complex may have come from.
Leave him alone.
I mean,
poor
the guy gets no rest in bed.
Bad enough to go through life with that, but now to have to go through...
I know why he's so angry.
To remember... All right, you're done for this hour. All right.
Oh, okay. You're the one that nearly got us in trouble with the FCC.
He's trying to provoke us into a gaffe.
But I'm in trouble.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Many posthumous stories today, though.
I know. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
History's mysteries right here.
All right, there we go. So, Burgess, what's going on with the Hill? I thought we were going. This was the week the Senate was going to pass unemployment insurance. Finally, Harry Reid said that.
Yep.
Tom Harkin said that. What happened?
Everyone said it. I thought it was going to happen yesterday. But you'll never guess the Republican leadership and the Democratic leadership could not agree on amendments.
No.
Yeah.
No. God.
So rather than staying on a Friday late today, they could have voted late today, but senators do not like to stay in D.C. on a Friday, so they'll vote on it Monday.
Well, that's what they said when they left on the Christmas vacation. They were going to vote on it as soon as they came back. Now we are in April.
I know.
I mean, so you really think it's going to happen next week?
It's been scheduled. It's going to happen Monday at 5:30. They've taken all the procedural votes. It'll happen, but I mean, gosh, this has been the longest saga for a bill like this that I've ever covered.
Okay, now, and this plan, right, that they have in front of them,
right,
is a 5-month.
May, yes.
So it
goes back to December and goes to May.
I was just saying, and May is like right around the corner.
Yeah.
And so this is still the best they can do. They're going to pass something in April that lasts until May.
Right.
This is what passes for progress.
I guess so. I mean, Democrats wanted to do a year. They didn't want to pay for it. They kind of bent to some Republican wishes to get enough Republicans on board to pass it. So there was compromise. There was a give and take. I just think everybody involved wishes this compromise, this give and take, happened in January. Not April.
I just so we'll be right back in the soup a month from now.
Right, and I don't know what happens. I don't know if they try to pass something new in May, if they don't get anything through the House, because the House does not like.
I was just going to say, of course, this assumes it has to go through the House, so it won't even be done by May.
It hasn't been
probably
flatly ruled out by John Boehner. He just keeps, saying he doesn't particularly like it, thinks it's unworkable, doesn't create jobs, so you can kind of read in between the lines there. But
on a related issue, any movement on the minimum wage? We had Bernie Sanders on yesterday. Mark Pocan, congressman, was here yesterday. They're both talking about they've been pushing it very much in respective houses.
I mean, movement in terms of press conferences and stuff like that, sure. Movement in terms of something that can actually pass the Senate, something that can become law, no.
Not even in the Senate?
No. The Democrats are stuck on 1010. They say this is what a worker needs to earn to be slightly above the poverty line.
Didn't Susan Collins propose some?
She hasn't laid it 100% out, but yeah, she is trying to find some sort of bipartisan compromise that gets some of these red state senators up for re-election, like Mark Pryor and Mary Landrieu, who haven't said that they're for $10 an hour. Find some sort of middle ground there, and if she's able to do so, she's really going to undermine Harry Reid and people like Bernie Sanders, who are very hard line on the 10.
But what is she talking about? $9 or?
I'd have to guess it's somewhere in the $9.50 range with some business tax breaks and maybe something tweaking, dealing with Obamacare, something like that. The work hours, bill that the House passed yesterday, redefining a full-time work week.
There was a big rally here in Washington, D.C. yesterday. Our friend Lee Saunders, head of AFSCME, was one of the speakers there. And this was
give them a wage raise bus or something like that, right? They have a big bus that goes to town.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
Time to give everybody
There it is, yeah.
everybody a raise, and this was the culmination of a whole series of rallies across the country. Here's Lee Saunders yesterday making a point.
This is a matter of fairness. This is a matter of justice, and we're going to get it done, aren't we? We're going to get it done.
So that's the question: are they going to get it done? I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, if you look outside of Washington D.C. most of the polling shows Republicans, Democrats, American people say, yeah, raise the minimum wage.
Well, so let me ask you this, Bill. Would you rather see people stick to 1010, or do you think it makes more sense to find something that can actually become law and raise the wage?
15 is my answer.
But I mean, the reality of politics says that they're gonna have to back off this number that they're stuck to right now if they actually want to get something.
But the problem is if they go less than 1010, you still have people, and I think you can make this argument and win on it. You still have people who are working a full-time job, 40 hours a week, living in poverty, which I don't think anybody wants or should accept. I'll tell you what, just as an aside on this, I was talking to a reporter about this the other day, called for my comments on it, is that I would think this is an issue that the Catholic bishops of America should be leading the charge on, and I'm sure Pope Francis would lead the charge on. I mean, you hear them talk all the time about same-sex marriage and about abortion. They ought to be out there fighting for a living wage. And if you go back to the great encyclicals, Vatican encyclicals, one called Rerum Novarum of Leo XIII, who was the first one to put out there about a living wage. You're
getting beyond me here, Bill.
But I'm just saying, this is what the Catholic Church stands for and should be fighting for, and the bishops are totally silent on this issue.
It's been mostly, union groups and progressive groups that have been pushing this so far.
But I think Lee Saunders said right. It's the right thing and the fair thing to do. You had a story this week about Marco Rubio. Is he going to run in 2016? And is there any doubt that he's going to run?
I mean, everything I've seen from he gives these high-profile speeches all over the city in D.C., at the Google headquarters, at Uber headquarters, things that look vaguely presidential, I would say, for sure. So he's kind of trying to lay out a broad agenda and do it in a high-profile way where he's the only guy on the stage talking for an hour and then taking some questions. So then you have him, he's been more openly talking about his timeline now. He's talking about spring of next year now. So he's just talking about that as a step that other people haven't even taken yet.
Is he up for re-election next year?
2016.
Also in 2016.
Right. So that's the genesis of my article is that, Senator Rand Paul wants to kind of keep running for the Senate again in 2016 as a fallback plan. And Marco Rubio says, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pick one or the other.
I always think that's such a chicken-ass maneuver, right? Where you're like, just in case I don't get this big job, I'll always fall back on this. I always like when they just go all in, man. Go all in. Because then it's harder to take them seriously. You know what I mean?
I have to check my history and my memory, but I think that Lyndon Johnson ran for vice president and for re-election as senator from Texas the same year.
There's more recent ones. There's Paul Ryan, 2012.
Who did?
Yeah, he ran for...
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Paul Ryan was still... That's right, he was re-elected
and Joe
to the
Lieberman
House.
in 2000. So it's not unprecedented, although those aren't for the top jobs. I believe Lloyd Benson did as well, but that was in the 80s.
Maybe I'm thinking Benson, not LBJ.
So it's not an altogether unheard of move, which is Rand Paul's point.
Rand Paul would do both, and Marco Rubio says one or the other.
Well, Rand Paul needs a change in law in Kentucky to do that. No. So he's trying to get them to pass that, and he's actually may even try to flip their legislature to Republican to get them to pass that.
Well, I would agree with Peter, though. If you're going to really go for president, and you really think you're the best and you really think you can win, I mean, to keep a Senate race as a backup, I think that indicates, well, I probably am not going to win this thing, and I know that. So I want to
go all in, man. If you're gambling, gamble big.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome back with Burgess Everett here from Politico. Your questions, your comments about anything you saw on the Hill this week, 866-55-PRESS. I want to talk about that big CIA battle between Dianne Feinstein and the CIA and what the Senate Intelligence Committee did yesterday. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, here we go at 26 minutes after the hour. When we come back, Travis Waldron will be joining us from Think Progress to talk sports this day of the Nats First home game. Very excited about this.
Yeah.
And that's undefeated so far this season.
They're going to go all season undefeated.
Well, they've
never been done before in baseball.
They play the Braves today, so it's
That's their first real test.
Not going to be the Mets, anyhow. Yeah. Burgess Everett is here with us right now. We're talking progress or lack of same on the part of the Congress this week. Burgess Everett covers the Congress for Politico, Politico.com. Senator Dianne Feinstein in a real battle with the CIA, which is unusual because she's been the chief defender of the CIA, of course,
Yes.
for the last few years.
And the NSA very pointedly as well.
And the NSA,
yeah.
right, as chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee. Big meeting yesterday dealing with the report, the investigative report that her committee did of the CIA's torture techniques, right, or tactics. What was the outcome of that hearing?
So it was very quick. It happened, must have been 10 minutes or so. They voted 11-3 to declassify the summary of this report. The committee did, the Intelligence Committee.
Wasn't expected to be that one-sided.
No.
So she had done her homework, obviously.
As we were talking about, Susan Collins, the deal maker, she had announced earlier this week that she would vote for it, so that there was no longer in doubt. But yes, 11-3 was a surprising result.
They voted to declassify.
Right.
Now this report, so it's public today or what?
No. So first of all, the whole report is 6,300 pages. That's not what they were voted on. They were voting on a 480-page summary of the report.
Got it.
And so now that goes to President Obama and the CIA, and they need to decide if it needs to be redacted further.
Oh, and who makes that decision?
It's ultimately up to Obama, who said that he is in favor of making this public, this report that is very critical of these interrogation techniques. So, but it could take weeks before lowly people like us have it in our hands.
Let's just hope that he doesn't let the CIA do the redacting. Burgess Everett, good work, my friend. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks so much.
Good weekend. See you again soon.
Go Nats.
All right. Yeah, there we go. Travis Waldron coming up next.
This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right,
I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay, so who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
33 minutes after the hour, The Bill Press Show, this Friday morning, April 4. Brought to you today by the United Steelworkers and their international president, Leo Gerard. The United Steelworkers is North America's largest industrial union, representing over 1.2 million active and retired members. Check out their website at usw.org for more about their good work. Big day here in Washington, D.C. It is really a national holiday, or a federal holiday, certainly in Washington, D.C. We closed down at the first warning of any snowstorm, and we also closed down Washington, D.C. for the first home game of the Nationals every year. We're ready. We got our T-shirts ready here.
That's right, man.
So Travis Waldron from Think Progress Sports comes in to help us celebrate. Good morning, Travis. Good to see you.
Coming in to bring some balance to
Travis
this.
has got that attitude.
Yeah, no.
This is the baseball edition
Not
of the
at
Fairness
all.
Doctrine. This is the baseball edition of the Fairness Doctrine. Because we're obviously all big Nationals fan, and Travis is a Braves fan.
You can't be.
Always. Since I could walk. Maybe before. I've been cheering for the Braves since I was 2 years old.
But now you live in Washington.
Yeah, well, I don't cheer for any of the other Washington teams either. Other than the Wizards. I like the Wizards.
I do. At least he's consistent. Yeah. So you won't dare show your face at the Nats Stadium today.
I will be there. Right field, section 140. 143. 143. Come find me. I'll be all Braves. All Braves gear.
That's some fighting words right there.
That's great.
I mean,
I've missed a handful of Braves games since I've moved up here. I was there last year when the Braves swept the first two series in Washington last year. I was there at all 6 of them.
Oh, yeah.
I go every now and then. I spend a little bit of time at Nats Park.
What can I say? I don't think we're going to change his mind here.
I don't think so.
I'm predicting the Nationals will do for the first time ever in baseball, undefeated season. Totally undefeated season.
Well, so far, you're right.
I'll take that bet. Seems like an easy
They
one.
may not be undefeated as of like 4 o'clock this afternoon.
All right. Go Nats. Go Nats at any rate. But you know what? It's going to be fun to see the people who are there today. Because, there'll be a lot of members of Congress, a lot of senators. There'll be media. Oh, my God.
Washington is not going to be working hard today.
No, not.
I'm not. I'm off work today. So.
Sorry to drag you in here then.
No, I would come in here anytime I'm off.
This is part of his job here.
That's right.
Now, but we still have the NCAA. We still have got March Madness to finish here, right? Mm-hmm. This weekend.
I still have a team in that too.
Well, you're one of the few.
Yeah,
Kentucky.
Well, my bracket doesn't have a team in it.
Oh, I see.
But my alma mater is still fighting.
Which is
Kentucky.
Oh my, Kentucky.
You know, those underdog Kentucky Wildcats that everyone loves.
Amazing, right?
Yeah,
everyone loves to see Kentucky as the underdog,
All All right. So how's it going to play out this weekend? So we got Florida, Connecticut, Kentucky, Wisconsin, right? Who are you picking? No, I know.
I can't pick
Kentucky.
one in the Kentucky-Wisconsin game. That would be unfair.
Okay.
And I don't want to pick Kentucky and then them lose and it be my fault.
Got it.
I think if I could jump in on that, I think Wisconsin's playing on borrowed time. Like, Wisconsin does not play well in these tournaments historically, and now for whatever reason they've got their act together.
You know, the interesting thing though is Wisconsin under Bo Ryan has always been a defensive-minded team, and this one is not. It's an offensive team. They score.
Yeah.
And for all the talk of, everyone knows the phrase defense wins championships, but in college basketball you got to score.
Yeah.
And the teams that generally that win it all are balanced offensive and defensive teams, and Wisconsin is finally that. And they have a big 7-footer who can do basically everything. And I think this is going to be I think the Florida-Connecticut game is interesting because Connecticut, of the 4 teams, Connecticut is the one probably no one thought would be here.
Right.
Kentucky, there was a thought of if they put it together, they have the talent.
And they
to get
did.
here.
They got it together
And
at
they
the right
put it
time.
together. But Connecticut kind of came out of nowhere. I think Florida's the best team left. I think Florida's been the most consistent team in basketball since about mid-December. I would be a little bit shocked if Florida doesn't end up winning at all. But I think of the two matchups, the Kentucky-Wisconsin game, because it's two top 10 offenses in the country. It's an odd matchup because Wisconsin, I think, is going to have trouble with Kentucky's size, but then Frank Kaminsky, the 7-footer I was talking about for Wisconsin, Kentucky doesn't really have anybody who can straight up guard him, and I think that game is the most intriguing of the two. But then Florida and Connecticut played earlier this year, and Connecticut won on the last second shot, so that could be an interesting rematch there.
So the finals are, the
semis are
Saturday
finals
night.
Monday.
Which one is first? Do you know?
Florida, Connecticut.
Florida,
at
Connecticut.
Like 7, I think, and then Kentucky or I think it's at 6:30, and then Kentucky and Wisconsin's after that.
I do feel compelled to point out that we did our brackets here, and everybody is out. All of their teams are out, except for my 6-year-old Magnus, who has Florida.
And he picked. How did he pick it again?
He picked Florida because that's where Disney World is.
That's right.
He picked Florida because that's where
It's as good a reason as any other.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
And I have to say, Kentucky took me out of the bracket, so I'm now kind of a Kentucky fan.
Here you go. See?
All right. And then the finals will be Monday?
Monday night.
Why a Monday? I guess I have to give my day
how it's
off,
always
right?
When I become supreme ruler of the world, I will
Next week?
next week. I will make the Super Bowl on Saturday. I'll put all big championship games on a Saturday, on a Monday night. Come on, the college football national championships, 9:00 on a Monday night.
It's all TV money.
I'm going to
man.
stay up for that.
It's TV money. Primetime TV money.
I know you've written on this. The coaches, there's a certain incentive to making the Final Four, right?
Yeah, I wrote last week, it was pointed out by everyone, it seemed, that $358,000 in bonuses for the 4 head coaches. That's just the head coaches. If you actually look at Kentucky alone, I think they got somewhere in the neighborhood of $330,000 in bonuses for the head coach, the assistant coaches, and the athletic director because they made the Final Four. And that's on top of incentives they got for making the Sweet 16 and then the Elite 8.
Wow.
And you can guess which people in this equation don't get bonuses.
Yeah.
They're playing for pride. Mm-hmm. Everyone else gets to play for money.
Right.
But, amateurism.
But the players get nothing, right?
Right. Well, I mean, it's not fair to say they get nothing. They get scholarships and whatnot. The question is that fair? Because they don't have a say in what they get.
Where do these bonuses come from for the coaches?
Out of athletic department revenues. They get
from their colleges, individual colleges, right?
So,
As part of their contract.
So the NCAA tournament alone generates over the next 14 years. They have a 14-year TV contract with CBS and Turner that's going to bring the NCAA about $10.5 billion. So that's about roughly $770 to $800 million a year. And that money is then divided among schools and conferences. And the bonuses come out of those revenues. Their contracts are written, they're incentive based. Like John Calipari, Kentucky's coach, his base salary I think is around $5.5 million. Yeah, it's a rough life.
Yeah.
And then after that, when they win, for certain incentives, he gets bonuses. The funny thing is that because college athletics are first and foremost, as the NCAA always reminds us, about school and education.
Of course.
Yes. Arnie Duncan was on Meet the Press the other day, a few weeks ago, and
Secretary of Education,
and actually brought up this stat that coaching incentives in college sports are, in general, 6-to-1 skewed towards athletic accomplishments. So for every $1 in incentives in coaching contracts that are geared towards graduation and academics and things like that, there's $6 for athletic incentive.
Right. So if they get $358,000 for making the Final Four, what do they get if they win?
It depends. John Calipari from Kentucky, I think his is $375,000 for winning. Billy Donovan from Florida, I think his bonus kind of escalates as they go farther in the tournament. I think he's got another $50,000 or $75,000 on the line. There's a few others that I'm not exactly sure what Connecticut or Wisconsin's coach get. I know Bo Ryan, Wisconsin's coach, has already hauled in some $200,000 in bonuses this postseason.
That's just because everyone's stunned that they actually made it to the Final Four.
Yeah. But, Calipari's bonuses, and I mean, this is the thing about college sports, right, is like we pretend. I went to UK. I grew up in Kentucky. You can say that this is about academics all you want. You can yell and scream. There's not a person in the state of Kentucky. Oh, that's not fair. There's probably a couple. Most people in the state of Kentucky want Kentucky's basketball team to win. They hope the kids might stay in school.
Right.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
Right.
But these incentives are there because this is what people want. This is what the NCAA wants. The NCAA doesn't make money by putting kids in class. They make money by putting kids on the basketball court or the football field. And that's because that's what fans want. That's what everyone wants. This is a big money business. And the longer we pretend it's not, the worse off everyone is.
Yeah,
except for the NCAA.
Yeah,
that's really disturbing. I also find it disturbing that these coaches are making so much money off with a game like this one. Yeah, they play an important role, but damn it, they're not out there scoring the baskets, right? They're not out there doing the work.
Well, the funny thing is,
and they're walking off with all the cash.
Yeah. Basketball is one thing. There was a story, I think, like 2 weeks ago. Ohio State's athletic director got an $18,000 bonus because a kid won a wrestling national championship.
Jeez.
So this
Where's
kid,
the money in that?
this kid goes out.
Right.
This kid goes out. He's an individual athlete.
Yeah.
He wins a championship, and the athletic director collects an $18,000 bonus for it.
Sucks. That's infuriating.
Yeah. And it's like, where's the, what's the? You can't possibly, justify this.
Right.
No. There's no possible argument for this.
No. That's what Darrell Issa ought to be holding hearings about instead of Benghazi. All right. There it is. Travis Waldron's here from Think Progress. Think Progress Sports at thinkprogress.org. Do you think this is fair at all, what these coaches are getting for that? I didn't realize this. 866-55-PRESS. We'll talk about it here on The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get fire adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek, Newtown,
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more? How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
Enough.
Enough. Enough.
Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday.
It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
12 minutes before the top of the hour, Travis Waldron is here in the studio with us from Think Progress Sports, talking all things sports related. But Peter, first we have a little breaking news.
Breaking news, Bill, breaking news. The job numbers are out. The U.S. economy has added 192,000 jobs.
Month of March?
In the month of March, and the unemployment rate...
It's bigger than expected.
Yeah, the unemployment rate, it held at 6.7. They had there were some fears that it was going to slow down because of the winter, but, this is a good thing. Added jobs.
Good revisions, too.
Yeah.
Added jobs in both the previous months.
Yep, that's true.
192,000 for the month of March. Good. So, Travis, we're talking about these coaches getting these obscene bonuses for when their team wins and the team gets nothing. Maybe one way of equalizing that out, this story that I know when I was going last week that popped around about students at Northwestern University being allowed to form a union. How are they?
It's big news.
Yeah, but how are they able to do that? I mean, what's the... Peter talked about it last week.
The regional National Labor Relations Board in Chicago found that these athletes are essentially employees of Northwestern. The main reason they found that was because the number of hours they spend on football each week looks a lot like employment.
Except that they're not getting paid for it.
Well, so that's not exactly true. The argument that the football players make, and the argument that I think is very legitimate, is they are getting paid. They are getting compensated through a scholarship. That constitutes a economic transaction of sorts. We are giving you a scholarship in exchange for your services. The question then is, do you get labor rights? Do you get the right to bargain with your employer? Do you get to say, hey, I don't think this is a fair deal, or I want other things? And so a lot of people keep getting hung up on this is going to bring pay to college athletics. It's not yet, and probably not anytime soon, because it's still against NCAA rules to pay athletes. And this is only one union at one school. What these guys want to do, the College Athletes Players Association, what they've said is they want to bargain on lots of other things. They think the NCAA has failed on concussion reform. and they want to have a voice in how to protect their athletes from concussions. They want to address scholarships because right now the average scholarship doesn't cover the full cost of attendance. They want to have a say in how that gets fixed. They want to have a say in how to make college sports less skewed towards athletics and more towards education. Because more than 90% of these kids don't go pro. Mm-hmm. The NCAA repeats that to say that this is all about education, except they aren't really, in a lot of ways, haven't improved. And they also want to say they want things like healthcare, guaranteed healthcare for the athletes if they get hurt, or scholarship protections if they get hurt. There's a lot of economic things here that are not direct compensation.
So have they actually at Northwestern formed a union?
They have not. They haven't held the vote. The NLRB ruling gave them the ability to have the vote. They are going to, I believe they're going to hold off on having a vote until after it goes to the full NLRB here in Washington, which should be by the end of the year.
Right. And if they did this, certainly it would spread to other campuses, don't you think?
Most likely. So it's weird because of the way American labor law and federalism and everything works. Is the National Labor Relations Act only applies to private employers. And so under the NCAA, that's only private schools, which make up a pretty small percentage of major college athletics, though if in football, there's some pretty big private schools. I mean, you have USC, Notre Dame, Northwestern, Miami. If it spreads to some of these big schools, you could see changes pretty quickly. And pretty quickly is probably not.
It's an interesting new development, though.
One of the questions I had about this is I just genuinely don't know the answer. So when you are labeled as an employee, right? It's like a give and take relationship with an employer and an employee. So could this in any way end up biting the players in the ass and saying that like you are now obligated to perform certain things for your employer that you may not have had on the table before?
It's possible. I mean, there's a lot of, the thing is there's a lot of questions.
Right.
There are going to be a lot of questions going forward. How does this impact female athletes? How does this impact non-scholarship athletes or athletes in non-revenue sports? Are they a part of the union too, or are they not? There's questions, again, because the NLRA only applies to private schools. How are the state schools going to work in this? Because if you try to form a union there, you're subject to state labor law.
It's going to be interesting to watch all this thing shake out. I'm sure we'll be talking about it some more. Meanwhile, Travis Waldron, thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
And go Nats is all we can say here. Yeah.
I'll leave that one alone.
What is that section, 142?
I think it's 143.
Yeah. Hey, Cyprian, be sure not to footage from that section today. I'll be back with a parting shot.
This is the Bill Press Show.
In the early 20th century, the war to end all wars didn't end war at all. It stoked the fires of change. A traumatized world was ripe for change. The world was ready for modernism. Modernists wanted to forget history, or at least reinterpret it. More than just a style, modernism applied to virtually all forms of creative expression. Innovative artists like Picasso, Escher, Dali, they all started looking at their world differently. Other artists tried painting light itself. These were the Impressionists. Surrealists went a bit further. We had entered the age of the isms. Cubism, symbolism, futurism, constructivism. All these new modern ways of looking at the world blew people away. When it came to architecture, modernists were intrigued by emerging technology. Concrete, glass and steel featured heavily in their buildings. Modernists believed that they could design a better society. Ornamental indulgence was considered a frivolous waste of effort. They thought function should always dictate form, and that mankind's intelligence, creativity and capability for radical thinking should be celebrated. Take the Russian inventor Georgy Krutikov. He suggested an idea for a city held aloft by electrical currents. This at a time when there was barely enough wattage to keep the lights on. Not everything they designed was a resounding success. But you could argue modernism was the single most influential movement of the 20th century. From house music to housewares, tables and chairs to graphic design, All have been created by the aesthetics and ideas of modernism.
The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is The Bill Press Show.
Well, you know, if Chief Justice John Roberts wants to make this a plutocracy, he's well on his way to doing so. No longer democracy after this week's McCutchen decision, which allows individuals to give as many candidates to give as much money as they can to as many candidates and political committees as they want to. You know what this decision means? It means two things. It means that politics will be more awash in money than ever before, and it means that politics will be more and more controlled by the very wealthiest people in this country, maybe some 1,200 people, even fewer than that. Is this good for democracy? Absolutely not. Hey, folks. Here we are on a Friday. Have a great weekend. Kick back, relax, come back and see us again on Monday. We'll be looking for you.
This
Have a good one.
is The Bill Press Show.